Want to learn how to use time intelligence in Power BI and enhance your analysis? In this video, I'll show to you how to work with dates and periods, creating dynamic and powerful calculations that will transform your reports. If you want to master the essential skills for exploring historical data and making forecasts, this video is for you. Data intelligent functions are one of the most useful functions inside Power BI. Today, I will show to you a few of them that I consider the most used in the daily basis. Okay, so here we have a table with here month and date that we will use as a table to compare one function to the other. And I also created a basic function here called total sales. That is a sum of our sales amount that we're gonna use to create the variations using time intelligent functions. Okay. Now, for the first function that we're gonna see, it will be the same period last year. Calculate, as the name said, the same period of the previous year. So let's create the function. We're gonna call total sales last year. It starts with a calculate. Every function that you're gonna see today will use the calculate. So if you don't know how to use the calculate function, I have a video here on the channel that will help you to understand this amazing function that is the king of all functions inside Power BI. Okay? So we're gonna calculate. What we're gonna calculate are total sales. Now I'm gonna call the function same period last year. All these data functions will require a date. So it's very important that you have a calendar table inside your model. It's a good practice and every model should have one. Okay, what we're gonna call in our calendar table? Our date call. Okay, and close my calculate and hit enter. Here it is. As you can see, I have the same value of last year exactly as we wanted. Okay, and if we open January, we have this value here, and here it is the same value in January of the next year. So it's respecting exactly what we want. Okay, now I want to calculate with more flexibility. I want to see the values of the previous month instead of the previous year, or I want to see the values of the previous 2 months before, 3 months before, 4, or and so on. How can we do a more flexible calculation? Using other function here. I will use as example the previous year. So, say previous month. Okay. We'll use a calculate of total sales and date add. What date add do? It moves the given set of dates by a specific interval. So we choose a date. I want my date column, my calendar table. A number of intervals. I want -1 because I want the previous month. And what interval I want? 1 day, 1 month, 1 quarter, 1 year. I want month. Close my date and close my calculate. Here it is. As you can see, let me open 1 year here. We have the total value of 400K, almost 500K in January. And here it is the same value in the February month. Okay, so you can, as you can see, it is bringing to us the value of the previous month. Okay, now if we want to use some functions to calculate aggregate values like total sales of the current year, or the total sales of the month, or the total sales of the last 6 months, or the total amount of every year that we have in our model. We're going to see these 4 variations that are very useful in our daily basis. Okay, let's start with the simple one, that is total sales by TD year to date. That will be a calculate of sales. And we're going to use the function called dates YTD. Date YTD. What this function do? It will aggregate the values in the current year. Okay, so I want to use, as always, my dates from my calendar table, and voila. Let me just put formula here. As you can see, here it is. We have in the first month value, here it is. The second month we have 500K, and here we have 1 million. That will be a sum of these 2 values here. And it's gonna continue summing the values until the end of the year. After that, in the next year, it will start all over again. Okay? We can do the exactly same thing in months. Okay? Using the month to date function. Use month to date to be a calculate of sales month date, what for our date in our calendar table. And here it is. Let me just open a month here so you can see that it's working. The behavior will be the same as the year to date, but it will stop at the end of the month. As you can see, the first day is equal for year to date and month to date. And after that, it will continue adding the values of the days exactly as year to date. But the main difference is that in the last year, in the last day of the month, the aggregation will stop and start all over again the next month, different from year to date that will continue until the end of the year. Okay, now if we want to aggregate by a moving period, let's say the last 6 months, how can we do that? We can create a new measure here, and we're gonna use a different function, sales as 6 months, to be a calculate again of our total sales, and we're gonna use a function that's called dates in period that returns the date from the given period. What we need to do as argument. First of all, our date, always. Number of interval. I want that the start date The start date will be the max date for our current context. So it will always analyze the context and will bring the max date of that context. I also have a video about filter context. If you have any doubts, go check it out. And the number of intervals. I want the last 6 months. Okay, so calculate for me based on my date, starting from my max date of my current filter context, my row context, the last 6 months. Okay, and now calculate also. And here it is. If we read from a specific month here, let's for say July, and we start to summing the previous 6 months, we'll end up with this value here. Okay, now the last function that you're gonna see is a function that we can do the aggregation by the entire period. We don't want to limit ourselves to a month, to a year, or to a predefined period. We want the entire period of the table. How can we do that? I'm gonna call total sales total. That will be a calculate of our sales. And we're gonna use a filter, all, my calendar table, where my date will be less than my max date. Close my filter and close my calendar. What I'm doing here, I want to calculate my total sales, filtering all my calendar table. I don't want to be limited by the filter context. I want to clear other filters. I want all my calendar table. And I want that my total sales will be aggregated until the last date of my max date here. The max date of my row context. So if we are in November, let's say for example 2 of November, it will aggregate the value until 2 of November. Here it has less or equal, not less. And hit enter. And here it is. As you can see, let me 2011 here, it's still aggregating the values. We start the year with 469K of total sales. And here we have 513. That is the sum of this 40,000 here plus this value in January. And we'll continue summing, aggregating until the last date that we have in our model. So these are the best data functions that we can use here, Power BI. With these functions here, I think you can manage to create almost every calculation that you need. Did you enjoy learning how to work with time intelligence in Power BI? Now you have the tools to create even more powerful and dynamic analysis using dates to your advantage. If you found this content helpful, don't forget to give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. And for those who want to dive even deeper, I have 2 ebooks just for you. One on Power BI and one in Excel. so you can master these powerful tools. The link to both ebooks are in the comments below. Don't miss out on this opportunity to enhance your skills. And I'll see you guys on our next video.